episode we sail our first night passage on Tranquilo, running into thunderstorms and minefields along the way. We share how we prepared for the passage and what we'll do differently next time.
We've just cleared out of Montenegro and are now heading for Albania. The plan is to sail through the day, through the night, and then arrive in the town of Solindra on the far south coast of Albania. So it's the first time we are doing a night sail on Tranquilo. We are pretty well prepared, got all our equipment ready, so looking forward to it.
Thanks, Aiden.
Big red.
You're our ferryman and fender man. Our first plan was to make a few stops down the Albanian coast to check into Durrës, as a lot of people do, the northern part of Albania. But we've decided to do this overnight alternative because Durrës is a very commercial port. We've spoken to a few sailors who've come up that way and they've been stuck between two massive tankers, that kind of thing. It's just really not set up for sailing yachts like us. And the other reason is, well, a couple. There's going to be some quite nice winds, you know, say around 10 knots. But on the third day, when we would be coming into Saranda, if we'd done several stops, yeah, forecast is for quite big winds, and especially with Aiden, we like to just take it easy. If we do this overnight, we'll be already in Saranda and just hang around there for a few days. So step one for us was checking out the wind. We've checked predict wind and plotted our course. We should have a nice easy sail and spend some time relaxing in Saranda. Step two, we've revised the flares. Aiden, tell us the summary. What are they?
This one's a party popper.
Not a party popper.
But it
works a bit like it.
Yes.
No, I think
What's that one? What's it called? The middle one?
This one, that's a parachute. It's red. It carries a red thing, and you have to pull a trigger to make it go up, but don't have it at somebody. This one is a hand flare. You hold this one, open this lid, and then there's a line that you pull and all the stuff comes out, the gas.
Yeah, and you hold it away from you and point it downwind. Yep. What's the third one?
When the helicopter is near, or the plane, you let it out and you put it next to the life raft or Tranquilo.
Phil's inflating our radar reflector. Time to put it up for an overnight sail.
According to the yachting magazines, in reviews, this is just about the best you can get. The Eco Max.
Alright, that felt a bit like an advertorial.
Just want to let people know, we've done a lot of research and this one does come out on top in terms of its ability to show us up on other ships' radar.
Good stuff. Okay, up she goes. We went to the fruit and veg market yesterday, and one of the things I love in every new country is to check out the weird and wonderful fruits and veg they have. So this is a peach. They're kind of UFO, or you call them donuts, donut-shaped peaches. I'm going to give that a go. And we have we call it a rock melon. Americans call it cantaloupe. Probably others too. Crack that open as well. What do you reckon about the apricot?
No, I don't like Australian ones.
Yeah, he doesn't like Australian ones. He likes Croatian and Montenegrin ones. They are pretty amazing.
Our sail down the southern end of the Montenegrin coastline's pretty cruisy. We've got 9 knots of wind, we're doing around 5.5 knots. Everyone's just taking it easy and chilling out.
Dad?
Mm-hmm.
this is boring.
What do you want to do?
So retest. We are in Albania now. Let's see if that's right. Yay, we are in Albania. Sixth country. I'm ready.
Looks like it's raining over there. Nice. Finally, this is what Predict Wind said would happen. It's around 10-11 knots. Got the engine off. We're sailing. Hooray!
We're on autopilot following the route, and essentially as the wind shifts, we are trimming the sails accordingly. As the wind will be shifting and bringing us more downwind, we've also set up a preventer. The preventer is a line that we've tied off the back of the mast. Then it goes along the side of the boat to the front. We've got it around the forward cleat, and then back around to one of the winches, and we can let it in and out to control the position of the boom. If we tie it on very tightly, the boom is brought forward and there's very little risk of, if the wind shifts, smacking the boom across the other side of Tranquilo, which is called an accidental jibe. You don't want to do those. Accidental jibes don't only put a lot of strain on the boom and have been known to break booms, but also they have been known to, if someone's standing too high, smack someone in the head, knock them unconscious and throw them overboard. Another Albanian trawler with lines off the back. This one's about 500 meters off our starboard side, and we will eventually cross the potential lines off his back. I think we should be okay, as he doesn't seem to be too concerned about us hitting his lines. One thing I've done while we're just relaxing and we've got a bit of time on our hands, also because we're going to be doing some night sailing, is just I've attached an AIS beacon onto my life jacket. What will happen is, worst case scenario, if I go over, the life jacket will automatically inflate and it will pull this open and set off a AIS alarm and pinpoint me to our chart plotter so that Elle can find me quite easily if I go overboard. An added safety precaution.
In addition to the PLB. So,
oh yes.
Yeah.
I've also got a PLB. So
that's a personal locator beacon.
AIS will sharpen our chart plotter, but the personal locator beacon acts like an EPIRB. It won't sharpen our chart plotter, but it will notify the coastal authorities that there's an emergency, and they'll contact the Australian Coast Guard and coordinate a search for this beacon and me. So,
or whoever's wearing that jacket, that'll be me at some stage through the night.
So this life jacket will be whoever is on night watch. Yep, let's pack it away. In what has been a rather eventful day already, we are now trying to outrun this thunderstorm. Should be good. That's the southern end of it, and so we're on track to get past it. As a precaution, I've also just put some of our sensitive electronic equipment, computers, iPad and the like, into our oven. The oven acts like a Faraday cage, which means that any lightning that just by chance hits us, the electronics inside will be protected from the electric discharge of the lightning strike.
What about this? You can't put this in the oven.
No. Aiden's right. The one thing that we can't put into the oven is the chart plotter and all the navigation equipment, sonar, etc. That's just going to have to be left to its own devices. One more thing about sailing in Albanian waters. According to the chart plotter, we are right now sailing over a minefield. Yes, now all these mines were apparently cleared away by minesweepers years ago, post the end of the Cold War. But it is rather disconcerting that the chart plotter still maintains little icons showing this is a minefield.
Hey, look at that boat over there. That white one.
Yeah?
They're heading straight into the storm.
We've done a fair bit of camping, Philomena and I, and this definitely feels like camping on the water. You can hear the pitter-patter of the rain on the roof. I actually think that a lot of hiking and a lot of camping has prepared us quite well for living on the boat. One thing I love about being out here on the sea is there's no phone and no internet and just the three of us with each other. And that also feels a lot like hiking and camping. What do you reckon?
Yeah, Dad forgot to put the sign here saying no Wi-Fi, talk to each other.
The storm has passed and this is the sky we're being treated to. So beautiful.
Okay, I'm off to bed. Elle's taking the first watch.
Good night. See you in a few hours. So, I don't know if you can tell from the videos, but I'm midway between introvert and extrovert. And that means that the introvert in me is lapping up this night crossing. I need some time to be by myself and some time to be independent. And so this just suits me perfectly. I have my thermos of tea, some chocolate, the night sky and the ocean, and to be honest there's not a lot more that I want or need right now. If the wind would just pick up from 6 knots, that would help a bit. I would turn off the motor and sail again, but apart from that I'm just sitting here and enjoying it. So here's what went on that night. As you can see, I had an easy time of it in my first watch, 9 to midnight. And by the way, we do it that way because I'm a night person, I'm often awake then. Then Phil came on 12 to 3. And so I was nicely asleep next to Aiden. Then felt the boat really heeling over, going fast, and the whistling wind. So I came up and found Phil battling 34 knot winds. So things had completely changed from my watch. And I said to Phil, why don't you wake me? And so that we could reef. So that's what we did. We straight away reefed straight to second reef, and we're still flying along at around 10 knots. That was the fastest we've been in Tranquilo. And the thing is, at 2 AM when there's just the two of us trying to get the boat under control and do it quickly and not wake up Aiden, the last thing we thought of was grabbing the camera. So that's why I'm here telling you what was going on. And here's Phil, still slightly shell-shocked, describing what was going on.
It turned out to be a rather eventful night. We had, just after I'd made the previous video, the wind picked up. It came off the peninsula, funneled out to sea, and we got winds up to anywhere between 25 knots and 30 knots. So Elle came up and we had to reef in. After that, we're all good. But yeah, made to pull some uncomfortable sailing up the reef. All good. So we're ahead of our scheduled ETA, you should expect. We're getting up to 9-10 knots of speed. Tranquilo handled it very well. And we've just had a all ships warning from the Greek Coast Guard. There's a 10-meter yacht that's missing at sea with 4 people on board. So that's not good at all. just arrived in Saranda, Albania, the southernmost point where you can check in and check out. We've called the harbour master, let him know our agent, and the next we're in 5 minutes. So we're just getting Tranquilo tidied up for entry. This is a bit of a nostalgia. I remember these types of hydrofoils when I was a kid travelling through Europe, 4 and 5. Just a bit of travelling around Bulgaria, Romania, and that's exactly the types of hydrofoils they used to have around here.
We've just arrived at customs here in Saranda to check in. Albania requires you to have an agent both to check in and check out. It's a little bit different to the other countries we've been to and most other countries. And it feels a bit strange. It's the first time we've handed over our passports and we don't go in person to passport control. Although the customs guy did come down to see the three of us and then went back to the building. He helped secure us here. As you can see, it's a very small berth here to come into. That's because we're in between the ferries. We're at the ferry terminal essentially. This is the customs area too.
Today, I'm having a double shot of coffee to account for our little adventures from last night. I'm just a bit tired. We learned a lot from our first night passage. What we did right was, firstly we set our watches to fit our sleeping patterns, and then we prepared correctly. We put in AIS beacons into our life jackets. We had our PLV, the personal locator beacon. We had the head torch. We had a high powered torch as well, and we had our binoculars. And finally, and probably most important, is we had our tethers that basically tethered us to Tranquilo. Now, things we'll do better next time is get the latest predict wind forecast. A 3-day-old forecast do not take into account of the fact that the storm came in earlier. We need to also reef in straight away, not wait for L to get up. And finally, look out for those minefields.
If you like this video, please click like below and subscribe to follow our adventures.